Well, hey, what's up? How are you today? I hope things are awesome and wonderful wherever you find yourself in the world today. My name is Crystal Sky, and if you're anything like me, you find yourself drawn to true crime cases. So that's what I talk about here. Now, today's case is a tragic murder. I mean, like, they're all tragic, right? But this one is especially tragic because not only was the victim a 17-year-old. Oh, it's so tragic when they're so young like that. If that wasn't bad enough, her murder and pictures of her murder went viral on social media. It was just awful. And I wanted to cover this case because I remember stumbling upon the hashtags that went around accompanying this case on social media. I saw the hashtags and looked into the story behind it, and I don't know, it's just so sad. I looked more into like the victim, and I don't know, I just really related to her, really empathized with her a lot, and yeah, I just wanted to talk about it, and the case has finally completely been resolved at this point, so yeah, wanted to talk about it. And without further ado, let's get started. Two disclaimers, just super real quick. I know, but some people who are getting into true crime don't really want, like, the sordid details and the grisly, details and stuff. So today's case, does have graphic descriptions of crime scenes, does have bad language. I try not to curse in my videos, even though I cuss like a sailor in my real life, but I know some people are uncomfortable with it, so I just try not to curse in my videos, but this case does have bad language, graphic descriptions of crime scenes and whatnot, so be forewarned. Second disclaimer, I am not a makeup artist. I just plop down and just kind of see what happens with this right here. So, yeah. All right. All that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into today's case. We are talking about Bianca Michelle Devins today. And Bianca, she was born October 2nd, 2001 in Utica, New York. And she was born to Kim and Mike Devins. Now, Kim is a former HR payroll services manager, and Mike is a mechanic. Bianca also had a young sister whose name was Olivia, aka Liv, and it said Bianca was very protective of her little sister. She absolutely adored her little sister, loved being the big sis, and Kim says as soon as she told Bianca she was pregnant, like, she was super excited. Now, Kim got pregnant with Bianca right before she turned 18, and Kim was also attending a Catholic high school at this time, and her and Mike had only been together a couple of months when she fell pregnant with Bianca, and yeah, so kind of scary, right? Anyone would be, but despite being like scared and uncertain of what was going to happen, Kim knew that she wanted to see the pregnancy through. She knew that she wanted to be a mother. She had always wanted to be a mother, and yeah, so she went ahead and went through with it and had little baby Bianca. Now, Kim and Mike, sorry, little hair in my makeup here. Now, Kim and Mike, they split up for the first time in 2010. Now, Kim has accused Mike of being emotionally abusive, and the Utica Police Department, they do actually have multiple domestic violence reports against Mike that were filed by Kim. And apparently as Bianca got older, she started kind of bearing the brunt of her father's anger. She had, made herself Kim's protector. She appointed herself her mom's protector, so, Bianca would get in between them and stuff, and that's just so tragic. Like, no kid should have to take on that role, right? Like, so sad. Now, in 2015, Kim and Mike split up for the final time, finally split up in 2015, and surprise, surprise, Mike did not really stay in contact with either of his daughters. Kim has said that Bianca felt, while she felt relief, she still felt like a sense of abandonment, I mean, that's your parent, that's your father. I mean, parents are supposed to be that one source of unconditional love that you have in this world, right? And he just took off. Kim has said that when Mike was in Bianca's life, he was a good dad, saying that, quote, when he was in her life, he was a good dad. When he wasn't, he wasn't. He was out. And I'm sorry, but that's not how being a parent works, you know? You don't get to just jump in and out of your kids' lives whenever it's convenient for you. So, yeah. They split up, and, you know, Bianca felt like a sense of relief, but still a sense of abandonment. But despite the little bit of troubles in her past, friends said that Bianca was just a very sweet, caring, empathetic young lady. She loved kittens and chocolate fudge brownies. She loved the movie The Breakfast Club. She loved playing Minecraft. And she absolutely loved buying pastel wigs to do cosplay shoots with her friend, which, yeah, already relating to Bianca a lot. That is something that I also really like to do. Now, so Mike took off, so Bianca was living with Kim and her little sister Olivia, and they were also living with Mike's ex-girlfriend, Callie Rimmer, and her 4 children, who I believe were all younger than Bianca and Olivia. So, you know, 8 people in the house. It is quite a busy house. Now, as many in the world do, Bianca suffered with mental illness. Kim said that Bianca's mental health struggles began when she reached adolescence, when she reached middle school. She said that, like, up until then, she had been a pretty extroverted, popular girl at grade school. She had suffered a little bit of separation anxiety in the 3rd grade, but other than that, she was, pretty extroverted. And then she hit middle school, she hit adolescence, and all of a sudden, you know, Bianca just she lost interest in things that she was once interested in. She became very shy and withdrawn and anxious. Now, Bianca would eventually be diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. And Kim has said that Bianca was, you know, prone to negative self-image. She was prone to, like, impulsive, erratic behavior. And these are symptoms that those who struggle with BPD, these are, like, commonly reported symptoms. And she said that Bianca was suffering with this kind of stuff, even before her official diagnosis. Bianca had sensory issues. Sensors seemed to be, like, her biggest trigger. She would scream at the top of her lungs if she felt too, like, claustrophobic in a car, if her environment was too loud. And, you know, so because, you know, she struggled with this, you know, and she's, you know, in adolescence, she's at that time, Bianca felt, you know, she felt very different. She felt very judged, not only because of, you know, her mental health struggles that she was dealing with, but also, you know, because of her interests. They weren't, I guess, you know, conventional as the other girls in her area were. Bianca was very into, like, visual arts, and she really liked anime and manga, and yeah, she felt like this made her, like, really different, and not in a good way. A lifelong friend of Bianca's named Gianna Rosado, she said that Bianca was, quote, different, but in a good way. She had her own unique style and personality, which, you know, right, when you're that age, you don't want to be unique. You just want to fit in, right? You just want to fit in with everyone. But, you know, the older you get, I feel like the more you kind of embrace that part, which is like, you know what, F it, I'm going to do what I want, and, you know, screw everyone else. But again, that's easier to say with age, right? So yeah, Gianna described Bianca as, having a unique style and personality, and, you know, Bianca did, you know, she did stuff like running around stealing Trump signs out of people's yards. She organized a school walkout in response to the Parkland school shooting. So yeah, she, you know, had a lot of, you know, cool, erratic, like, quirky behavior. And Bianca was also very empathetic, you know, because of her mental health struggles and because she felt so different and judged. She was very empathetic and just a very sweet, sweet girl to anyone. It is said that she spent hours counseling a young girl that she met online, someone she had never met in real life, who was younger than her, and she was struggling, I think, with, like, some suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. And it said that, you know, Bianca spent hours just counseling her. There was a classmate of Bianca's who said he had been bullied all of his school career, throughout all of school, and that Bianca was literally the only person he had ever met at school that was nice to him. That just breaks my heart. I hope he's doing okay now. Now, Bianca had gone to counseling in her early teens, but she wasn't having much luck, and at 15, she ran away to New York City on an impulse. And I was unclear as to why she ran away to New York City, because it was talking about how she, didn't really connect with any counselors or therapists and how she had difficulty navigating the mental health care system. So I don't know if that's why she ran away to New York City or what, but they said that's what she did. She ran away at 15 on an impulse. And when Bianca was in the 9th grade, she had to transfer to a public high school. She had gone to private school up until this point, but Kim could no longer afford the tuition for it. And so she had to go to public school. And Bianca was not described as one of the, popular, conventional hot girls, You know how each kind of like area, each school has their own sort of definition or standard or whatever for what is like, like hot and popular. Well, apparently in Utica, where Bianca was, there's a very large Italian population. And so like sort of the trademarks of like your typical hot, popular high school girl is that, gorgeous olive skin with that long, beautiful black hair aesthetic. And Bianca didn't, she didn't match up to that aesthetic. So she was described as being a loner at school. Again, totally relate. I was mostly a loner through school as well. However, she did meet a fellow classmate her freshman year, a young boy by the name of Derek Ward, and they connected and they ended up dating. Derek has said that Bianca was, quote, the best therapist I ever had. I could tell her anything. And the two bonded over like their chaotic home lives and, just that typical teen angsty stuff, Now, even though Bianca was described as being a mostly sweet, empathetic young woman, she did struggle with, her erratic behavior. And, some of it, again, can be considered as sort of like eccentric or quirky and cute, like the stealing of the Trump signs, or I guess, on a whim, she would cut and or dye her hair whenever like the mood struck her. So yeah, you can describe that as like, eccentric, cute and quirky. But friends of Bianca did say that there was some behavior that she exhibited that wasn't quite as like charming. They said that at times Bianca would lie about major aspects of her life, such as claiming to be of Jewish descent, of being on the autism spectrum. An ex-boyfriend of Bianca's said that she told him she was of Cuban and Asian descent. And a friend of Derek's, named Devin Barnes, said that Bianca started exhibiting sort of like jealous, a little bit of controlling behavior. She was kind of like worried and jealous about Derek talking to other girls, and this would cause them to fight, unfortunately. And the two would eventually break up when Bianca just ghosted and cut contact with Derek and all their friends, and then she disappeared from school altogether. Now, a lot of this behavior, can be attributed to Bianca's BPD. Apparently, these are symptoms that are commonly reported that they struggle with, negative self-image, controlling their emotional state, and whatnot. And though Bianca wouldn't be diagnosed until 2018, Kim said that even before this, like around this time where stuff's going down with Derek, so like 2017-ish or so, that, her mental health was really bad and deteriorating. It had gotten so bad that Bianca was having massive panic and anxiety attacks. She wasn't able to leave the house most of the time. And if she did make it to school, she more often than not just ended up at the nurse's office with like a very massive panic attack and anxiety attack. And so midway through her sophomore year in 2017, Kim unenrolled Bianca from public school and instead enrolled her in a private home tutoring program, so homeschool. So Bianca's at home a lot now, and, remember, it's a pretty busy house, 8 people with, 5 children plus Bianca. And so it is at this time that Bianca starts spending a lot of time in her room and online. And she frequented sites such as Tumblr, Instagram, Discord, and 4chan. And Kim has said that Bianca used her social media presence as sort of like her safe space. She would create different accounts that reflected different parts of her personality or persona, reflected her different interests and whatnot. And Kim said that Bianca felt that she could be herself but someone else at the same time using these platforms. So because Bianca was very active on these platforms, very active on social media, she met a lot of people. And in early 2017, she met a young man on 4chan. Now, this is the part of the story where I'm really going to try to keep my thoughts to myself. You'll see why. So, she meets this young man on 4chan. He is 18. Bianca is 15 years old at this point. I think you can see kind of where I'm going, right? Now, the article that I read that did a small interview with him, they just referred to him as Rob. He did not want to be publicly identified because he was afraid that he would get into legal trouble. And again, as I get into this part of the case, you'll understand why. So yeah, the article referred to him as Rob, so that's what I will be calling him. So Bianca meets Rob, all right? Rob's 18, Bianca's 15. Now, Rob says that Bianca was, quote, fucking lonely, and I was fucking lonely, and she was lonely too. And he said that within a week of meeting him, Bianca asked him to be her boyfriend, she asked him, And the two would end up dating on and off for about 2 years. Now, not going to be surprised to find out that the relationship has been described as toxic. Rob himself struggled with substance abuse issues, and he also had bipolar. And Kim says him and Bianca, quote, fed off each other, and not in a good way. Bianca's friends have accused Rob of stalking Bianca, of hacking into her social media accounts, and even showing up at her house unannounced. Now, Rob, he denies all of this, okay? He denies all of this, says that's not true, and that Bianca gave him access to her social media accounts, and that he did nothing wrong. This was sort of the whole tone with the interview with him, is that he did nothing wrong, okay? It wasn't his fault, it was always someone or something else. At least that was the tone that I came out of that interview with. Now, in August of 2017, Bianca ran away to Long Island, New York, to be with Rob. And by tracking her phone, Kim found out where she was. And so she ended up having the local police going out and looking for her daughter. And when Bianca found out that her mom had the local cops out looking for her, she attempted to step in front of a moving car and be run over. And this caused her to be institutionalized in Nassau County at a mental health facility for 5 days. So finally, in winter of that year, 2017, Bianca finally breaks it off with Rob. Yes, she did it. She broke it off with him. After Rob was accusing her of messaging other guys and just displaying that typical kind of jealous behavior, so Bianca broke it off. Now Rob, okay, trying to be calm here. So Rob, Prince Charming that he is, he retaliated by sharing sexual, explicit images of him and Bianca to his Discord server. Oh, and it gets worse. In these images, Bianca was 15 years old. Yeah. Now, Rob says again, he didn't really do anything wrong because he thought Bianca was going to share those images herself, okay? No, not okay. Don't ever ever share sexual explicit images of your significant other or stuff that you do. Just don't. No one wants to see that. So Bianca gets wind of this, of what Rob has done. She takes screenshots and all of the evidence that she needs, shows her mom, and they go down to the police station to file charges. Damn right. Well, when Rob finds out, he then tells Bianca he will kill himself if she goes through with this investigation. He threatened suicide. And so, of course, Bianca ended up dropping everything, not cooperating with the investigation, and so ultimately nothing happened. Yeah, you can see why I had to like bite my tongue. I would love to say quite a few more things about Rob, but instead we'll just move on. Yeah, so Rob threatened suicide and she drops the charges, and Bianca would end up going back to Rob, unfortunately. Kim filed 3 missing persons reports for Bianca between August of 2017 and June of 2018. And when asked why Bianca kept writing back to him, Rob said in the interview that, quote, she was very lonely and didn't have anyone at the time. I was like the only option, the lesser of 2 evils. She could be alone or with me. I think we would all agree that she was much better off alone. Now, around this same time, with this on-again, off-again thing with Rob and running away, Bianca, I really need to take better organizational control of my brushes. So, yeah, all this stuff going on with Rob and Bianca and running away, so around this whole time period, Bianca had told a mental health counselor that she fantasized about going to a parking garage roof and jumping off. And this actually caused her to be admitted to Pinefield Psychiatric Facility in Albany, New York. And she was there. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. Pinefield was not in Albany. It was in Utica. So it was local. So she was admitted to Pinefield for about 30 days. And in that 30 days, you know, her family came and saw her a lot. You know, they brought her her favorite things like pizza and wings. And Bianca was thriving at Pinefield. She was considered very popular in the facility. She told her mother that, quote, this is the first time I feel like I have friends in years. Or I think the actual quote was, this is the first time in years I feel like I have friends. Like, aw, isn't that, I don't know, that just like really tugs at my heartstrings. It's so sad. However, not long after being released from Pinefield, Bianca went running back to Rob. And, you know, since Kim obviously could not stop Bianca from physically running away, she instead went to the courts and petitioned for a persons in need of supervision hold, or a PINS hold. And basically that's just when like a parent or a legal guardian just goes to the court and is just like, I need help controlling this kid, they're not listening to me, and I need help. And so that's what Kim did. And a judge ordered Bianca to wear an ankle monitor and to be on house arrest. Now, Bianca would violate this PINS order in June of 2018 when she broke off her ankle monitor and ran away again. I'm not sure if she ran away to Rob again. The article just said that she ran away again. By October of 2018, Bianca was placed in the St. Anne's Institute, which is a residential placement facility in Albany. And here, Bianca, just like with Pinefield, she really thrived, okay? She really thrived here. She found a therapist and counselor that she really liked, that she felt could like really help her, and she really connected with them. She had started a sort of cognitive behavioral therapy that was aimed at reducing her suicidal ideations and her like destructive, erratic, impulsive behavior. And she was just doing genuinely well. Kim said that St. Anne's was, quote, the best thing to ever happen to her. In February of 2019, Bianca was discharged from St. Anne's and she managed to go back to high school. She went back to Thomas R. Proctor High School, her public high school, and got her degree and got her diploma and graduated in May of that year. So good for her. Good for her. Things are looking up for her right now, right? Like, she's finally found like some mental health professionals that can help her. She started some therapy, she went to school and got her diploma, and she had planned to attend the local community college, Mohawk Community College, and she wanted to study psychology. And she specifically really wanted to help people who struggled with their mental health. That was her ambition, was to help other people who struggled with their mental health as well. She had posted on her social media, quote, "I generally have really been doing better." And on May 1st, for Borderline Personality Disorder Awareness Month, she posted on her Instagram a post for BPD awareness, and it's kind of long, so I'm gonna look down slightly so I can read it. So she said, quote, "A lot of you know I've been diagnosed with this. It's a struggle I go through daily. I've come a long way in my progress. I can't be cured, but I can get control of my symptoms. We are not unlovable. We can have healthy relationships and are not manipulative. A lot of what we do, we don't understand. I'm responsible for this stuff a lot. We are not evil. Our mental illness does not make us a bad person." So Bianca's doing really well right now. She had even started reconnecting with old friends from high school, including young Derek from her freshman year. And they were, chatting and reconnecting. And Derek says that even though he had dated a couple of girls since Bianca, they, quote, weren't anything special compared to her. He still had feelings for Bianca, and he actually had plans to tell her about his feelings at some point, but unfortunately, he never got the chance. And instead, the last thing him and Bianca talked about was Area 51 memes. Now, due to her past behavior, Kim was, a little wary about her daughter's online activity, understandably so, right? So she took steps to sort of like monitor her daughter's online presence. If Bianca met someone that she wanted to FaceTime or meet up or otherwise like get to know better, she would ask Kim, and Kim would, kind of vet them, make sure they were on the up and up, And one early evening in May of 2019, Bianca tells her mom that, she wants to meet a new friend that she has met on Discord. And, Kim is, of course, like, well, I'm going to meet this friend. It was a boy. And so one evening, this boy visited Bianca at her home and met her family. This boy would end up being Brandon Andrew Clark. Now, Brandon, he was born October 6th, 1997, and he's from the Syracuse, New York area, specifically Bridgeport, which I guess is like less than an hour away from Utica. And his parents are Jason and Michelle Clark, and he does have a few siblings, including a younger brother named James Ward, who is in the Air Force. Brandon has been described as liking fitness and gaming and anime, such as the series Madoka Magica. And as a child, Brandon was described as, being very nerdy, very polite, just very average, as they all are. As they all are. Brandon was also described as being extremely empathetic, even like to a fault. Now, one friend said that Brandon always had like an obsessive personality, he was always obsessed with like whatever had grabbed his attention at that time. Something grabbed his attention and he was just all about it all the time, 24/7. Now, when Brandon was 12, he had a little bit of trauma enter his life. His dad, again, I really need to organize my makeup brushes before I film. So Brandon's dad had held his mother at knife point, a knife to her throat, for 10 hours, accusing her of cheating. And this, of course, led to like a whole thing, like a whole police standoff. And of course, his father served prison time for this. And Michelle, his mother, says that at a different point in time, she herself was arrested and charged with different charges, and that this caused Brandon to be thrown into the foster care system for a little bit. But, despite his, little bit of trauma that he had experienced, his friend said that Brandon was, pretty normal, especially given what he went through, like he was just another one of the guys, just another guy in the friend group. But, well, his friends would soon learn that Brandon had some unsavory aspects to him, to his personality. So a friend found out that Brandon was very, very into lolicon. Now, if you don't know what lolicon is, I'm sorry to inform you of what it is, because that's what I'm about to do. So lolicon, and I use the term genre very loosely. It's just the only descriptor I can think of, and technically it is classified as a genre. So, lolicon is a genre. It's like depicted in artworks, anime, mangas, graphic novels, all that kind of stuff. And it is a genre that depicts young little girls and teenagers in sexualized outfits, doing sexual things in sexualized positions. Let's call a spade a spade. It's child pornography. I'm sorry, my definition of it is it's child pornography. For me personally, for art, it really has to be about, what is the intent behind the art? What is the intent made behind this creation? And there's no other intent of depicting a 10-year-old doing disgusting things in a disgusting outfit other than, wanting to see a child in that type of position. So I'm sorry, it's child pornography. Well, Brandon was really into this, okay? And if that wasn't troubling enough, his friends also discovered that Brandon was texting a 12-year-old girl. But the problem was, Brandon was 16 at this time. So he's 16 texting a 12-year-old girl. Yeah, pretty disturbing. And when his friends found this out, they attempted to confront him in a group chat. Okay, they attempted to confront him. And Brandon texted back, quote, "Trust me, you're all better off not being concerned with the shit I do or think of doing, because you won't like what you see." Yeah. Now, after that encounter, his friends completely dropped him, completely disowned him, completely cut him off, and never spoke to him again, which, good on them, good on them. You do not need trash like that in your life. Although, I kind of wish they would have alerted the authorities a little bit, but I don't know if anything would have been done. I don't know. So when, Kim first met Brandon, she thought he passed the smell test. He was charming, he was friendly, he was very polite, and he had even confided in Kim about some of his struggles and experiences bouncing around the foster care system. And so, Kim trusted him. She thought, okay, this is a cool guy, and, everything's cool. Now, when Brandon first met Kim and Bianca's family, he told her family that he was 19 years old. At this point in time, Bianca is 17 and a half. She was going to be 18 in about, 5-ish months at this point. So she's 17 and a half. Brandon tells Kim and her family that he's 19, when in actuality, he's 21. Yeah, Brandon was trolling for teenagers online. He had seen Bianca's Instagram profile and followed her, and then he had introduced himself to her on her Discord server. And yeah, they struck up a friendship. They found out that they didn't live that far from each other. And now, Kim, even though Brandon was polite and friendly and stuff, she did ask Bianca a few times, hey, is there anything is there anything more going on here? You know, is he like, you know, someone special? And to which Bianca would just be like, no, he's just a friend. We're cool. And the reason Kim was a little worried about this, and, you know, why she was asking Bianca, was because on more than one occasion, she had heard Brandon referring to himself as Bianca's girlfriend and he her boyfriend. And so, you know, Kim was just like, hey, you know, what's the dealio with this, you know? To which, you know, Bianca was like, nah, like, we're friends. I'm just not that into him like that. I've told him time and time and time again that, like, we're just friends and it's cool. It's cool. Now, to add to the creepiness of Brandon already, get this. So he got a tattoo of a swing on his leg. Now, a swing, which I will get further into later on in the case, swings meant a lot to Bianca. They were a very intimate, personal, emotional object to her. They meant a lot to her. And Brandon went and got a swing tattooed on his leg a week after meeting Bianca, and he actually showed it off to her at her high school graduation party. Yeah, creepy. Now, a friend of Bianca's named Chloe, she did say that Bianca, you know, she did express some, like, irritation and annoyance with, you know, some of the creepy, obsessive messages that Brandon was sending her. But ultimately, she kind of brushed it off, you know, because, you know, she had gotten these kind of messages from, you know, other guys online. And, you know, she just wasn't all that concerned, which, you know, by the way, please don't ignore that kind of stuff. Like, report, block, and, like, move on, but please don't brush it under the rug. Don't ignore it. Like, you never know, man. You never know. So we're now in July of 2019. Okay, July of 2019, Bianca's graduated high school. She's going to be 18 soon. And she is super, super stoked and excited around this time because she is going to go to her very first concert on her own. I don't know if it was her first concert in general or just her first concert on her own. But yeah, she was super excited. It was going to be for a Canadian singer named Nicole Dollanganger. And she sings, like, dark, gothic, folk type music. And she was going to be performing in Queens at the Trans Pecos venue, which was a small venue. And this was about 250 miles away from Bianca's home in Utica. Now, the plan was for Brandon to come pick Bianca up at her house, and they would drive to the concert together, and he would drive them back. Now, you know, Kim was, of course, really nervous for Bianca to be going out on her own, traveling so far on her own, as any parent would, you know. But she also knew that, like, there wasn't a whole lot she could do about it, right? Like, Bianca was almost 18, she was going to be attending college in the fall, and, you know, it was just part of growing up. And Kim was actually comforted by the fact that Brandon was going to be there. Like, she had earned his trust. He had earned her trust. And she felt comforted by the fact that Bianca would be going with a friend, so she wouldn't be making this long journey all on her own, and that someone was there to look out for her, you know? So the morning of the concert, July 13th, 2019, Bianca is she's bouncing around, right? She's bouncing around, all excited, and she can't wait. So she's, you know, putting on her makeup, going through outfits, trying to find that perfect one. And she finally settled on a black tank top, a black and white plaid skirt, black and white Vans, and a black velvet mini book bag that she took with her everywhere. And Brandon came by the house at around 2:30 to pick Bianca up. Bianca had also informed her mother that she was going to be meeting another friend who she had met on Discord at the concert. This friend's name was Alex. He was from Jersey City, New Jersey, and he was going to be at the concert too. And so, yeah, her and Brandon were going to hook up with him and hang out. So when Brandon gets there to pick up Bianca, you know, she hugs and kisses her mom goodbye, tells her she loves her. And that would be the last time Kim saw her daughter. Now, throughout the trip, Bianca was Snapchatting and sending pictures to her mom, and her last text to her mom came at around 7:30 that evening when she said that they had arrived and that they were currently looking for a parking spot. So at the concert, Bianca and Brandon, they do meet up with Alex, and Alex and Bianca, they just kind of hit it off, and so, they're holding hands and just being very cute and flirty with each other, and they even shared a kiss at the concert. This happened while Brandon was in a store getting some rolly papers because they were gonna smoke a little doobie in Brandon's car, and apparently Brandon saw this kiss, all right? He saw it, and Bianca later texted a friend, or DM'd them rather, and she told them that, quote, Brandon was so mad that she had shared a kiss with Alex. So at around 10 p.m., after smoking some weed in Brandon's car, Alex, Brandon, and Bianca, they all smoke some weed in Brandon's car, and then Brandon and Bianca leave Alex and head back to Utica. So at some point in the very early morning hours of July 14th, 2019, Brandon's driving, and he pulls over. All right, he pulls over, and Bianca is dead asleep in the back seat. She's had a very long, exciting day, and she was passed out in the back seat. So Brandon pulls over, and he sets up his phone on the dashboard, sets up the camera, makes sure that the back seat and, that whole area is in frame. He then gets out of the car, gets into the back seat, and has a knife with him that he has hidden by his side. All right. And he wakes Bianca up. He wants to confront her about her kiss and her behavior with Alex at the concert. All right. He is very upset, and he's demanding answers. To which, Bianca is just like, bro, we're friends. I don't need to justify what I do with who to you. Like, get out of here, right? To which, Brandon was saying, like, her answer wasn't good enough, and that, she had used him, and then he struck her. I don't know if he slapped her, punched her, or what. The article just said that he struck her. And at that point, Bianca's fuming at this point, and she demands that Brandon just get in the driver's seat and take her home now. And if he didn't, she was just going to get out of the car and walk home on her own. And out of nowhere, so fast does this happen, Brandon whips out the knife that he had hidden by his side, and he stabs Bianca, including slitting her throat. Now, this attack was so fast and frenzied and came so quickly that Bianca didn't even have time to defend herself. She was caught completely unaware, completely off guard by this. And Brandon recorded her murder and her last dying breaths. At 6:03 a.m. later that morning, July 14th, a photo and a message is posted to Bianca's Discord server. The caption says, "Sorry, fuckers, you're gonna have to find somebody else to orbit." And in case you're not in the know with internet lingo, an orbiter, or to orbit someone, is basically usually a dude who follows a woman on social media or something in the hopes of getting a date or, getting sex or something. So that's what that is. And accompanying this message was a photo of Bianca, still in her concert makeup, still in her concert outfit, only her throat was viciously slashed and her face was covered in blood. Now, some of the users on her Discord server, at first, they didn't really know what they were seeing. They thought this was maybe some artsy staged photo, maybe it was a fake photo, and if you browse true crime, I'm sure you've stumbled upon the odd crime scene photo or two, right? I usually try not to seek that stuff out. I'm more than fine with descriptions. I have a very active imagination. I don't need visual help. But occasionally you do stumble upon some gruesome crime scene photos, right? And, yeah, it looks fake almost, right? It looks like something out of a movie. So I don't really blame users in her Discord for not immediately recognizing what they were seeing. One user tried to reverse image search the image and, obviously couldn't come up with anything. And so, they posted like, hey man, where'd you get this? And the original poster responded, my fucking car. I fuck Bianca, dumbass. And at around 7:21 a.m., the Utica Police Department, they started getting flooded with phone calls from all over the country. And people were reporting a, quote, disturbing picture of a female that was named Bianca Michelle Devins. Okay, sorry. Yeah, again, cannot put falses on camera. Anyway. So the police department, not only were they getting flooded from phone calls from all over reporting this picture, right? They were also getting phone calls from Brandon's own family members. Not only had Brandon called them in the wee early morning hours, they had found a note that they thought was more akin to a suicide note at his aunt's house. And so they were also calling the police. And additionally, Brandon had made some ominous posts on his Instagram account. So he had posted a Fight Club quote, the one that says, quote, this is your life and it's ending 1 minute at a time. He posted a photo of himself driving down the road with the caption, this is redemption, the caption read, here comes hell, it's redemption, right? And he also posted another photo to his story, a picture of a woman's bloodied arm with the caption, I'm sorry, Bianca. I also read that this photo was actually of Bianca's bloodied torso, her chest and head area. Either way, it was a gruesome, awful photo of Bianca, and it had the caption, I'm sorry, Bianca. Brandon also changed his Instagram bio to show the current date, July 14th, as the day he died, along with the caption, just know I feel no pain now. Brandon's mother said at one point in the night he had sent her a Facebook message that said, I'm so sorry, I love you, Mom. And he'd also, called, like I said, other family members. Now, after he killed Bianca and, posted those photos and made those changes to his social media, Brandon got out of the car and started a small bonfire in order to burn his laptop and hard drive. Then he got Bianca's body out of the car and staged her body onto a green tarp. And all while he's doing this, he's listening to a song called Test Drive by Joji, who is a Japanese musical artist. I hope I said that right. I don't know. I've never heard of them. I'm sorry. I'm old and out of the loop. But apparently, the song Test Drive is about kind of like a relationship where the guy is more invested and kind of wants more, but, the girl, not so much. And then, at around 7:30, Brandon called 911 himself and reported the crime. He told the dispatcher his location. He was on Post Street, which was a dead-end road that was only a mile from Bianca's old high school. So she was almost home. He then told the dispatcher his name and that the murder victim's name was Bianca Michelle Devins. He said that he was an organ donor. And then he also said, quote, I'm not going to stay on the phone long because I still need to do the suicide part of the murder-suicide. And then he hung up. Now, according to police, they arrived on scene just mere minutes after Brandon had hung up on the 911 dispatcher. And as police descend on scene, that is when Brandon, who is live streaming to his Instagram followers at this point, he sees the cops coming, and that's when he slashes his own throat. The cops see the fire going, they see he's laying on this green tarp, and they see that he had slashed his throat. He had also spray painted, May You Never Forget Me, next to this little scene that was going on. Now, investigator Peter Palladino, who was one of the first to arrive on scene, he said that, when he approached, it looked like Brandon maybe didn't think through just how much it was going to hurt to cut his own throat, because he was like rocking back and forth and like trying to like fight through the pain, you know? And when one of the officers got closer and asked Brandon where Bianca was, he responded, "Where the fuck do you think she is?" And that is when investigators noticed dark hair poking out from the green tarp that Brandon was laying on. Oh, also forgot to mention that when Brandon slashed his throat, he took a selfie, posted that to his Instagram story with the caption "Ashes to Ashes." So after a very brief struggle, Brandon was taken to the St. Elizabeth Medical Center in Utica, where he had emergency surgery and survived his self-inflicted wounds. Brandon was charged with second-degree murder, and investigator Palladino says that when he went to interview Brandon at the hospital, Brandon was more interested to know what the media craze was about with this case. Like, how was the media portraying this? What was going on? That's what his main concern was. Now, social media added to this, like, whole terrible situation, okay? Those awful photos that Brandon had took, you know, the one he posted to Bianca's Discord server and the one he posted to his Instagram story, well, they went viral. They made the rounds. I know they particularly were going around on Instagram and Snapchat. Those were the two social media companies that were the most quoted in articles about this case. I don't know if they made their way to Twitter or maybe other Discord servers. Not sure. But they for sure went viral on Instagram and Snapchat. And, of course, the case became sensationalized, and wow, did the media report a lot of misinformation. Remember I told you guys last week how I use that newspapers.com site? Well, when I was looking up newspaper articles about this case, the articles that were written, like the day this all went down, you know, like the breaking news articles that happened, oh my lord. So much misinformation. First of all, they referred to Bianca as an Instagram star / influencer, which she was not. She had 2,000 to 3,000 followers, which, hey, it's more than I've ever had ever. But, that's not like star influencer status, right? They also said that she had been murdered by her boyfriend. Again, Brandon wishes. Brandon was a friend and nothing more. And it started to spur multiple topics of conversation around, toxic masculinity, incels, the toxic culture of online forums like 4chan, the danger that men pose to women, especially in an anonymous online setting, how women have to take proactive steps to protect themselves, and the dangers of meeting people online. Like that, this was everything that people were discussing in relation to this case. And if that wasn't bad enough, some toxic losers on 4chan. I know, toxic losers on 4chan? What? Yeah, so these toxic incel losers on 4chan actually celebrated Bianca's murder, celebrated the photo, saying that, Bianca was, quote, just another slut who teased a guy and got what was coming to her. I know, what disgusting pieces of filthy garbage. Oh, but it gets worse. There are worse people than that. Some a-holes got a hold of Kim and Olivia and even Callie's phone numbers. Remember, Bianca's Family. Someone got a hold of their phone numbers and actually texted those images of Bianca to them. Olivia's 15 years old at this time, by the way. Can you believe that? And they were accompanied with captions such as, "Look at your daughter now. Your daughter's a whore. She got what she deserved." That just pisses me off so much. What disgusting pieces of pathetic trash. What a waste of human beings that you are. If that is what you decide to use your energy for, is that shit, nah, get out of here. You are a loser of the highest caliber. Now, Instagram and Snapchat, they were heavily criticized through all this. They were criticized for how long it took them to take those awful photos of Bianca down. And on top of that, they are criticized for how long it took them to delete and disable Brandon's accounts because his follower account was increasing as this was going down. I mean, Bianca's was too, but again, he's a disgusting murderer, right? And so people were criticizing them for how long it took them to finally take down his page and disable it. Thankfully, these social media companies' users, way more proactive than these large companies that run this shit, right? Way more proactive. They instead flooded the hashtags that were accompanying these photos because for a super long time, if you searched the hashtag Rip Bianca, hashtags on like Bianca's name or any variation thereof, you would find those photos. So a bunch of users on Instagram and Snapchat instead hijacked the hashtag and instead flooded it with photos of things that represented Bianca and her personality and her interests, such as like kitties and cute animals, pastel pinks, because pink was her absolute favorite color, clouds, moons, you know, just really sweet stuff like that. And before long, the hashtag was overtaken. And it actually spurned its own hashtag, Pink for Bianca, which encouraged people to keep overtaking that hashtag. And that's when I came onto the case. I saw the hashtag Rip Bianca going around. And so I looked into the case a little bit, and thankfully, I was alerted to this case after users had hijacked the hashtag, and so all I saw were like puppies and kitties and clouds and stuff. Like, I never want to see those images. I'm so glad I did not have to be subject to those images. On July 19th, 2019, Bianca was laid to rest, where over 300 people, including Alex from the concert and several people she had met online but never in real life, all gathered to pay their last respects. And her grandfather, Frank Williams, delivered the most just heartfelt eulogy. Like, it actually makes me a little emotional talking about it, so I'm going to try not to get choked up. He recounted the lovely nickname he gave Bianca as a child, Bean Pot, because she would come to his house and swing on the swing that he had in his yard for hours on end. And swinging, that was like her favorite activity on the playground. That was her favorite thing to do. And so it meant a lot to her. It was a very personal, intimate, emotional thing for her. Her casket was adorned with pink and white flowers because, again, pink was her favorite color. And I don't know why this always gets me too. She was also laid to rest with the ashes of the family's 23-year-old cat, Belle, who had passed away not long before Bianca. And Frank, her grandfather, actually said that he and his girlfriend had discussed that whichever one of them had passed away first, they would be buried with Belle's ashes. But when this tragedy befell Bianca, they just thought it was too fitting to, not put Belle's ashes with Bianca, because Bianca loved cats and she loved Belle. And the 1-year anniversary of Bianca's death, there was a vigil held in her honor, and the Devins family actually created a scholarship in memory of Bianca. It's the Bianca Michelle Devins Memorial Scholarship, and it actually aims to assist college students who are studying psychology, specifically to help children with mental illness, mental health problems. And I will go ahead and leave their contact information down below in case you want to check them out, in case you want to find out more or donate or maybe recommend someone for it. I'll leave that information down below. So Brandon, this piece of shit. So Brandon, like I said, he was charged with second-degree murder. And on February 10th, 2020, mere weeks before his trial was set to begin, Brandon pleaded guilty. He pled out. Brandon claimed that he wanted to spare the Devins family any more grisly details, and he really didn't want them to see the footage that he had took of Bianca's murder. And he also didn't want his family to testify against him because, like I said, he had called He had called several family members in the wee early morning hours that he did this, including his brother, who again was stationed in the Air Force, but he wasn't able to get a hold of him. He called his grandma and left a voicemail. He called his aunt and someone who was referred to as a father figure / mentor. And so Brandon didn't want them to testify against him either. Now, when Kim heard this news that, he was going to plead out, she was of course relieved. She said it was hard enough hearing the sordid details that they already had to hear, and that, that was already hard enough because Bianca's family showed up to every court hearing that Brandon had, and every time, let me fix my lipstick, and every time they showed up, they were wearing light pink shirts and hats and masks and pins, and they depicted the silhouette of a girl on a swing with the hashtag Justice for Bianca. Now, if Brandon had pled not guilty, of course would have went to trial, and then, her family would have, been subject to that footage, because up until this point in the case, that footage of Bianca's murder, it was only, speculated on. Law enforcement had not confirmed its existence one way or the other, and there were rumors that Brandon had posted it to his social media, but that wasn't true. He told investigators that video was just for him, so he could rewatch it whenever he wanted. Other evidence had come to light through these hearings as well, such as Brandon's internet search history from May to July 2019, mere months before this happened. And he looked up how to kill or incapacitate someone. He looked up info on the carotid artery. Remember, it's that main blood vessel in your neck. He looked up methods of choking and hanging. And he also stalked Bianca's social media profiles and saved dozens and dozens of photos of her, along with screenshots of their conversations. He also had researched how to live stream the killing, but, obviously didn't do that. And in his statement to the court, Brandon said, quote, "I think I need to realize what I did I can't undo as much as I want to. I apologize to all the people that knew and loved her. I apologize to everybody affected by this, to everybody who had to see that horrific picture of her. I know sorry is not enough, and it won't take back what I did. I wish I had more to give." Believe you, bitch, we wish you had more to give, too. Now, while Brandon, he seems remorseful, right? He kind of seems on the up and remorseful. Some believe that he pled out in order to hedge his bets a little bit. So you see, in the months leading up to his trial, and all throughout this case, there was wide speculation and debate as to whether this murder was premeditated or not, or whether it was a crime of passion, right? Because Brandon had done a little interview with a true crime vlogger, and he told them that he had, quote, blacked out, and he couldn't remember, specific details about the crime, and, people thought that this was opening up a possible, temporary insanity defense. But, of course, the existence of that footage of Bianca's murder really puts a hole in that, and so, people think that that's why he pled guilty. Now, Kim thinks that, her daughter was doomed one way or the other. She said that, quote, "I don't think there's anything Bianca could have said or done in that moment to prevent this. He clearly had all this planned out in his mind," which, I don't think that's hard to come to that conclusion. The recording, the fact that he set up the phone and pushed record, before he did all this, he set it up, he made sure to get her in frame and stuff, not to mention, he had the spray paint and the knife, in his person. Oh, and on top of that, I forgot to mention, cops also found a checklist on Brandon's phone that had a checklist of everything he had to do that day, including changing his Instagram bio and posting the Fight Club quote. So, I'm sorry, but, having all this, how is this not premeditation? But, I digress. That's just my opinion. Now, Brandon's mother, Michelle, she stands by her son. She says that her son is genuinely remorseful, and he truly did want to spare the Devins family the agony of seeing that footage. She says that he is not the, quote, manipulative monster the media has portrayed him to be, and that his internet search history No, that wasn't showing that he planned on killing Bianca. That was showing that he planned to kill himself. Whatever helped you sleep at night, girl, but I'm sorry. No, I don't believe that at all. Like, if you're looking up how to kill yourself, why would you look up how to incapacitate someone? And why would you look up, like, choking? Like, I don't understand. Like, hanging, I get. But, like, why would you look up choking if you were planning on killing yourself? Like, it seems like I don't know. But yeah, others such as Kim and Lieutenant Brian Coramado of the Utica Police Department, yeah, they dispute this, and they think that he just did it as self-preservation in order to hedge his bets, because if he had went to trial, probably would have been convicted and probably would have gotten a harsher sentence at trial. But as it was with the plea deal, he was facing 25 years to life. But with the plea deal, yeah, like I said, he was facing 25 years to life. He was going to be sentenced in April of 2020. But I don't know if you're aware, something happened around there that sort of like, I don't know, it kind of changed the world a little bit. And so it delayed his sentencing until November of 2020. Now, in June of that year, Brandon filed a notice with the court saying that his lawyer had failed him and that he actually wanted to change his guilty plea. He didn't want to plead guilty after all. He wanted to go to trial. Now, in August, at a hearing, Brandon said that he knew more than his attorney, okay? He knew more than his attorney. He knew more about a possible EED defense, which is an extreme emotional disturbance defense, and that he knew more about this than his lawyer, and that there were a large portion of discovery materials that were missing, and had he known that, he would have definitely taken this to trial, and he probably would have gotten off on manslaughter. That was Brandon's reasoning. Now, his lawyer, first public defender, Luke Nabush, was kind of taken aback by this, just like, Brandon never once expressed dissatisfaction with my legal representation. He never once expressed hesitancy in pleading guilty. He told me that he wanted to spare the Devins family. And yeah, he didn't know where this was coming from. Now, the judge, Michael Dwyer, he had pointed to the earlier transcript when Brandon had initially pled guilty, pointed to that transcript and was like, yo, bro, remember when I told you that if you pled guilty, you wouldn't be able to take it back? Like that this is set in stone? Like, what's up with that? To which Brandon, I guess, shot back, oh, well, I thought it was my right to change my mind up until I'm sentenced. Apparently, there's a New York state law that does allow defendants to do this. However, it is up to the court's discretion. It is up to the court to decide to allow it or not. And so the judge assigned Brandon a new lawyer, and thankfully, in October, he upheld Brandon's plea deal and was like, nah, bro, you're pleading guilty. Now, again, he was due to be sentenced in November of that year, but a coronavirus breakout at the Oneida County Correctional Facility, where he was being held, delayed his sentencing yet again, this time until March of 2021. Finally, in March, Brandon was sentenced to 25 years to life with the eligibility of parole in 25 years. This was the maximum punishment the law would allow. And Bianca's family, who of course had attended all of this up to this point, they did not want Brandon to get out of prison ever. They didn't even want him to have a chance. And it is possible that Brandon will remain in prison for the rest of his life. Again, it'll be up to the parole board in 25 years. And, at the end, the judge had asked Brandon, like, why did you try to withdraw your guilty plea? Like, what was up with that? To which Brandon responded, quote, he had mental health issues. Aww. And at this point, the judge kind of chastised him and was like, look, bro, you want any chance of getting out on parole? You need to take full responsibility for this. Like, you're not taking full accountability for what you did. And so, yeah, he was sent to prison where he will not be eligible for parole until 25 years have passed. And later in that year of 2020, Kim attempted to pass a bill with the help of New York Representative Anthony Brindisi, who is a Democrat who represents Utica. And the bill was aimed at cracking down on individual users who spread personal images without permission. I guess it would create civil and criminal penalties for those who shared personal images illegally. Now, the bill overwhelmingly passed the New York State Assembly on June 10th, 2021, but it failed to pass the state Senate because the state Senate neglected to vote on it before their legislative session ended. The bill does have a couple sponsors, including New York Assemblywoman Marianne Buttonshaw and New York State Senator Diane Savino. They've both discussed ways to move the bill forward, but as of June 2021, there is no update as to the status of this bill. And I tried finding out more information on this bill. Like, I really want to know more nitty-gritty details, like how would you enforce this, and like, are you going to do this to people who, like, retweet or like the image, or, like, what? Like, I really wanted to know more nitty-gritty details, but I couldn't find them. I don't know. Maybe I didn't look hard enough. I don't know. But yeah. Now, one last thing about this case before we leave it for today, because I thought this was a pretty wild update. So, July 15th, 2021, the Devins family filed a lawsuit against the Oneida County District Attorney's Office. Yeah, get this. Wait until you hear why. They alleged that the District Attorney's Office shared that footage of Bianca's murder with media outlets such as the A&E Channel, 48 Hours, and like a true crime vlogger. Sorry, sometimes you gotta make sure there's no lipstick on your teeth. And, the lawsuit claimed that District Attorney Scott McNamara and his office shared this footage and that it was, quote, an unconscionable dissemination of child pornography and snuff of a 17-year-old murder victim. And McNamara has refused comment, citing that his attorneys have advised him not to comment on an ongoing case. The Devins family is asking for a jury trial. They were asking for the District Attorney's Office to immediately cease sharing images and footage of Bianca. And they were also asking the District Attorney's Office to pay compensation for legal costs, punitive damages, and $150,000 for each item of evidence for each time it was shared. Yeah, that is wild. If that is true, that is so unconscionable and disgusting. But I guess it's not really out of that ordinary, right? Like, remember when Kobe Bryant passed away and cops were taking pictures of the crash and selling it to media, and Vanessa Bryant, I think, sued the police department and I think won. So not like it's outside of the realm of possibility, right? Yeah. Just awful. This whole case is awful. Of course, every murder is awful, but just when it happens to just like a young child like that, she was on an upward trajectory in her life, and this incel loser who couldn't handle rejection had to go and take it away. I don't know. It's just so sad. Let me know in the comments down below. Have you heard of this case? Did you see it when it was going around on the rounds? Did you have to see those horrible images of Bianca? I hope not. I'm so glad I didn't have to see those. And yeah, that'll do it for me for today. Next time I see you, it will be February. I made it a whole month. I'm very excited. Already got some cases lined up for next month. And yeah, until next Tuesday, I hope you take care of yourself. Don't be a dick. And I will see you around. Bye-bye.